Morning, beautiful people. Thank you so much for joining us once again on this other edition of The Brief, live on My Media Prime Television, a program where we always get to dig several layers beneath the major headlines as captured by newspapers. On today's edition of the program, the newspapers are focusing on the inauguration of the auto route in Kribi, the route that was inaugurated recently by the Minister of Public Works, Emmanuel Jumisi. We shall equally talk about what is happening in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, talking about the Anglophone crisis. What Abu Bala has said that an Anglophone is needed to be at the helm of state for the Anglophone crisis to be resolved. So many newspapers are still talking about that, as well as the visit of Emmanuel Macron to Cameroon. Newspapers are still analyzing the visit of Emmanuel Macron to Cameroon. And we shall equally talk about the measures that has been taken by the government of Cameroon in stepping up the fight against the illegal exportation of gold and diamond. The measures were recently taken as new equipments have been acquired at airports, as well as security measures stepped out at borders of the country in curbing those who are illegally exporting gold and diamond out of the country. We shall tell you more in this edition of the program. Amadu is already with us in the studio, the human rights defender who is always with us in the studio to talk human rights issues. Let's have the headlines in the French language newspapers with Gwladys Bomotonguina. Bonjour Gwladys.
Bonjour Lasha, bonjour à vous, fidèles téléspectateurs de My Media Prime Télévision. Merci de nous retrouver pour cette autre édition de Débrief. Alors, ce matin, nous allons débuter avec le journal Le Jour. Le journal Le Jour qui nous parle de la crise à FC Bamboutos. En effet, le bureau divisé donc alors que le club de Mbouda vient de se qualifier pour la finale de la Coupe du Cameroun de football. Les détails sont donc en page 11 du journal Le Jour ce matin. À sa page 8, le journal nous parle de la région de l'Ouest Cameroun, une nouvelle équipe à la tête de la fédération du MRC. En page 11, le journal nous parle des Lions indomptables du Cameroun, 3 équipementiers en course. Nous poursuivons, mesdames, messieurs, ce matin avec le journal Le Messager. Le Messager quotidien nous parle en grand titre de Bafoussam Ier. Le journal nous révèle qu'il y aurait des manœuvres pour scissionner le MRC. En effet, le sous-préfet autorise de manière spéciale à des militants de Camto, désormais à l'Alliance Nouvelle pour la reconstruction du Cameroun, d'organiser une conférence de presse. Les détails sont donc en page 2 et 3 du Messager ce matin. À sa page 4 et 5, le journal nous parle de conjoncture au Cameroun. À quoi servent donc les 46 milliards de francs CFA donnés par le FMI, économie camerounaise et perspective des institutions financières internationales sur l'économie globale. Nous poursuivons, mesdames, messieurs, ce matin avec l'artisan de paix. L'artisan de paix nous parle en grand titre de pédagogie holistique, des pratiques de la foi à travers une collecte d'ouvrages d'éthique chrétienne, pratiques de la foi, publiés aux éditions Clés. Les auteurs abordent des questions liées à l'éducation intégrale des jeunes. Ces manuels scolaires de 6e en terminale sont des réponses aux problématiques de la société actuelle par des nouvelles méthodes dont la perspective intégrale. Les détails sont en page 4, 5 et 12 du journal L'Artisan de paix ce matin. Nous poursuivons, mesdames, messieurs, avec Réalité Quotidien Plus. Réalité Quotidien nous parle en grand titre de l'université de Boya. Le professeur Magloire et toi, recteur, et Bernard Wongolo, PCA, je vous déclare donc installé. C'est du moins les déclarations que nous présente ce matin le journal Réalité Quotidien Plus à sa page 2 et 5. En page 6 et 7, le journal nous parle du sentier d'Etoudi. L'évêque de Bafia, Monseigneur Emmanuel Dassy, dit merci aux fidèles pour leur générosité. Nous clôturons, mesdames, messieurs, ce matin avec Mutation quotidien. Mutation quotidien nous parle en grand titre de la ville de Yaoundé au Cameroun, les rues de la honte, le tableau noir de la voirie urbaine de la capitale camerounaise, les populations dans le désarroi. Qui doit donc faire quoi? C'est du moins la question que nous pose ce matin le journal Mutation quotidien ce matin à sa page 4 et 5. En page 9, le journal nous parle de la visite d'Emmanuel Macron, président français au Cameroun, l'affaire des banderoles de francs billets. Mesdames, Messieurs, voilà tout pour vos titres en langue française. Place à la découverte des titres en langue anglaise avec toi, Lasha.
Thank you, Gwladys. Bomotonguina. Let's kickstart this morning with the National Bilingual Daily Cameroon Tribune. Cameroon Tribune is focusing on what I told you in my introduction, the fight against the illegal exportation of gold and diamond of Cameroon. This morning, the paper is telling us that government is stepping up measures at the level of airports and borders to curb this illegal exportation of diamond and gold that is costing Cameroon fortunes of its resources. You can read more in this edition of Cameroon Tribune talking about the measures that have been put in place by the government of the Republic of Cameroon to stop these illegal exporters of gold and diamond of the country. More details on pages 10 and 11 of this edition of the National Bilingual Daily Cameroon Tribune. Cameroon Tribune talking diplomacy this time around. We are talking about star building diplomacy research under discussions, and the Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph Diongute yesterday, August 2, 2022, granted separate audiences to the new ambassador of Algeria to Cameroon, Mahi Boumediene, with whom he evaluated bilateral cooperation. Meanwhile, Professor Joseph Campno presented the Christopher Meriot Award he received on July 1, 2022 for his research works on neglected tropical diseases. More details on page 3 of this edition of the National Bilingual Daily Cameroon Tribune. Cameroon Tribune this morning is warning citizens of the nation's political capital to beware of double billing when it comes to mobile money transactions. It has been observed that in Yaoundé, some unscrupulous operators of mobile money transactions points or transaction points are illegally imposing an additional charges on customers. Meanwhile, the same charges have already been taken by telephone operators. They charge between CFA 100 and 1,000 francs for withdrawals depending on the amount. More details on pages 8 and 9 of this edition of the National Bilingual Daily Cameroon Tribune. We leave Cameroon Tribune this morning. We are with the Lone English Daily, the Guardian Post. The Guardian Post this morning is telling us on the action, or about the action of Tuba May in Tuba subdivision, Mezan division of the northwest region of the country. Tuba May launches a robust campaign to clean municipality. The paper tells us further that the mayor of Tuba Council, Tanjong Martin, has launched a robust campaign to ensure proper hygiene and sanitation within the municipality in Mezan division of the northwest region. The campaign, which is part of the council's strategic development plan phase 3, was launched in Bamenda, or phase 2 rather, was launched in Bambili last Friday, July 29, 2022. The ceremony chaired by the divisional officer DO of Tuba subdivision, Masango Metuge Nasis, on behalf of the Mezan senior divisional officer Emil Mo, was attended by some traditional and religious authorities of the region. More details on page 7 of this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. Let's talk about these alarming statistics, talking about breastfeeding children in Cameroon. Alarming report which reveals that 60% of babies denied exclusive breastfeeding in Cameroon. A report has startlingly revealed that 60% of the babies in Cameroon are being denied exclusive breastfeeding, according to the latest survey on the issue released by the National Institute of Statistics. That was on only 40%, according to the National Institute of Statistics. Only 40% of infants are exclusively breastfed during their first 6 months of life in Cameroon. The report regretted that in Cameroon, the breastfeeding rate remains low. On Monday, Cameroon joined countries across the globe to begin observing the 2022 World Breastfeeding Week with the theme, Step Up for Breastfeeding, Educate and Support. More details on page 11 of this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. The Guardian Post is also telling us on page 4 that after raising hovering sum of 76 billion in July, Customs Department targets raising over 79 billion in August. The Customs Department of the country is planning, according to the paper, to inject a sum of over 79.4 billion francs as revenue into the state coffers. This month, that is the month of August, as we are told, the information is contained in the Customs newsletter number 400 or 412, as we are told. More details in this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. Thank you for watching, televiewers of My Media Prime. This is it for today on Press Review. Meantime, let's proceed with the discussions in the studio. Gwladys Bomotonguina, we are welcoming Amadu Tarnteh as usual.
Effectivement, Amadu Tarnteh, bienvenue sur ce plateau de débrief ce matin.
Yeah, thank you once more and good morning. Good morning to the telespectators of My Media Prime Television.
It's always a pleasure having you, Amadu Tarnteh. Welcome once again.
Yeah,
and this morning we are talking about other burning issues in the country. Let's begin with what Mutation this morning is telling us about the deplorable nature of roots in most quarters or neighborhoods in Yaoundé. And the paper is questioning who is supposed to do what, where, and when. Amadu Tarnteh.
Well, it's really very funny for us to be seeing such things in not only in Yaoundé, but in Cameroon in general, because if you move around Cameroon in general, you realize that most of the towns are having very deplorable setup. Because when I saw such issues in Bamenda, I was being informed that the regime in place are claiming that it's because of the separatist fighters that are preventing work from going on. And when we see the same thing happening in Yaoundé, in Douala, and all the rest, it's not regrettable.
But the worries, the question is about why should a political capital or the seat of administration be so abandoned and dirty up to that level, Amadu Tarnteh?
Those are some of the effects of bad governance. I will keep talking on a daily basis. Those are some of the effects, because sometimes we realize that even money is being allocated for such projects, but at the end they end up not doing any of the work. And those who are supposed to monitor such projects remain silent, meaning that obviously they have been compromised and they have little or nothing to say.
On a véritablement des problèmes de drainage d'eau au Cameroun. Est-ce que on n'arrive pas, la communauté urbaine au Cameroun n'arrive pas à exercer ses fonctions normalement?
This one is a very serious issue, because you realize that most often when the rain falls in most of the towns in Cameroon, particularly here in the Douala, in Yaoundé, and all the like, you realize there's a lot of inundation all over the place. So I don't understand the role of the ministry, not only the committee, but the Ministry of Town Planning and Urban Development, because normally before structures or houses are being built, at least they need to do everything possible to make sure that they control such things and equally make sure that the drainage are available.
About all cities, are you saying that we should plan again? Because definitely our cities and towns were planned like 50 years ago. Probably they didn't, those who came up with the plan didn't take into consideration the growing population and the realities of probably climate change and what we are having, right now in the world.
Well, absolutely, that's what I'm saying, because I think the problem was initially for those who initially do the plan of the cities. At least they don't need to do everything possible to review the situation, make sure that they control these things, to see that if there are other alternative ways of doing these things without causing more casualties to the population. You cannot just say that the plan was planned long ago, and for that reason they are not going to adjust it now, despite the challenges that the city dwellers or the citizens are going through when it rains heavily.
Mais pourquoi au Cameroun, on a l'art de construire des routes sans toutefois organiser peut-être des colonnes où l'eau pourra passer facilement? Pourquoi? Parce que même quand tu regardes dans la ville de Douala, on a ce problème-là. Il n'y a pas de caniveau à Douala.
Most of the work projects are being done without any control mission. Even sometimes those who are supposed to control, because normally those that have project, they have people that are awarded project and other people that are supposed to monitor the project until the project is executed. Most of them will realize that even some of the project when they are going on this, those that are supposed to control or monitor the situation, they come into the field to check what is going on, and those who are controlling the project just give them their money, give them money, and they just allow everything and go away. And at the end, the Cameroonians that are suffering. Meanwhile, these people are taking their money and go away.
Et on arrange la route presque 2 mois. Après 2 mois, la route elle est totalement détruite encore. Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Est-ce que c'est le matériel qu'on nous vend qui est mauvais, ou alors ce sont les gens qui sont censés arranger les routes qui n'arrivent pas à arranger ces routes, qui n'ont pas des compétences?
According to my little knowledge to that effect, I believe that most of the project the engineers are well-trained personnel that can do better work. But we are being informed that some of the reasons.
De nids de poules.
Yes, that's why I'm saying that I'm being informed that some of the causes of all those things, because sometimes somebody is awarded the project, and for you to start executing the project, you need to pass through different ministerial departments. And when you pass through all these ministerial departments, you have to give them money. You have to keep giving money until when you go to reach on the field where you are supposed to execute the project. Even the local administrative authority, they take money. At the end, you are left with little or nothing to execute the project. Just go ahead and do anything. Since those are the same people that are going to back you, just go ahead and do any rough work, and they allow you to go.
But where is the integrity and the I don't know how to put it, the credibility of the contractors who allow themselves to be used by these government officials? For example, a kilometer of road is rated for maybe, let's just give a rough estimate of 10 million. But the 10 million has to go through different ministries. At the end of the day, you are left with 5 million. And you know very well that the cost of a meter of tarred road is 10 million. And then you are left with 5 million. How do you execute that kind of project as a contractor? That you have to respect the ethics of your own profession. No, why should you even allow yourself to be used?
There is nothing like ethics or the respect of ethics or these things are called patriotism in Cameroon, because had it been these people, those who are collecting the money from the contractors, had it been they knew the importance of all those things, or they are patriotic.
Most of the contracts are awarded to foreigners, so those who are executing are foreigners. They don't care. Do anything they can do.
We are there because when we have problems as such, they need to come and see us, because that's the scope of our human rights work we have been doing. Because they just believe there's a project that I think they just started paying the money, are very afraid. But when something happens, like they need to look for human rights organizations or most of the organizations say human rights organizations for them to help them follow up these issues. Most of
why would it take 30 years? 30 years for people whose rights are, you know, I mean, who were supposed to be compensated? Why would it take 30 years for somebody to compensate?
No, since the government, those other concerned directly are doing things with bad faith, they don't have they don't intend to give the money. But now when it goes to the judiciary and order, they have to take a lot of time, because before you leave Cameroon here,
but sometimes I just read the issue of monies being calculated in the project, because when the project is being executed, yes, everything is already calculated, and the people who collect the money, where do they keep the money?
Most of them they don't when to argument project, don't just take it as their business. They must.
That's why I'm saying that all these things are done in complicity with the contractors.
With the contractors, yes.
Why? It means that the contractors are not professional.
No, the contractors have no choice, because you know this regime. If they ask you, are you going to give us this one or not? You say no. They will not. They will take the contract from you and give it to another person. I have no choice and write any report and send it to the higher authority, and you have nothing to say. So the contractors are left with no choice than to give them what they are asking and take the little one and go and do whatsoever rough work they will do there and leave the place.
La plupart du temps, ces contrats sont donnés aux entreprises étrangères, et pourtant il y a des entreprises camerounaises qui peuvent réaliser ces projets. Est-ce que les entreprises camerounaises n'acceptent pas qu'on les soudoie?
No, the Cameroonian, because I know that in these people, they believe, especially the regime in place, we Africa, we believe more in foreigners than in our own self. The Cameroonians, our Cameroonian contractors that are more competent even than those international experts that are more competent than them. But they believe that maybe it is the international experts that are going to do these things and go through. I don't know. So it's very funny. At least we are supposed to encourage national or local engineers or enterprises.
Amadu, so what are you guys of the human rights or civil society doing? You move around Douala, you move around other neighborhoods. Routes that were built 3 years ago, not even up to 5 years, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, are already bad. Does it mean that the lifetime now for routes that are newly built is just 2 or 3 years? We move around, you see potholes on new routes that were constructed, contracts that were executed 2 years ago, 3 years ago. The routes are already bad.
That's why I was saying I said there is this issue of bad governance, of incompetence of some of our authorities. Because normally, whether the contractor is doing the work well or not, it is left for those at the ministry who are supposed to monitor the project to make sure that the work is done on standard. Because there are some routes, like the route of from Babongo in the October division, not to Jakiri, through Baba 1 to Jakiri. The route, I think that one is one of the best routes that have been constructed in Cameroon, not only within the Bamenda whatsoever, in Cameroon. For the first time, there's another one in Babongo that was just less than 1 or 2 years. The route have already already gone off, but this one it was well done. So I don't know what happened to some of these people, but I don't know. Especially the contractors, but most of the contracts are being awarded to politicians, and that's the worst thing ever. When a contract is awarded to a politician, it means that little or nothing will be done on that.
But if the politician is an engineer,
no, it doesn't matter. But once a politician, because they work only for their interests, they don't even care about whatsoever thing. Maybe they come publicly and lie to us or deceive us that they are do this, but at the end you realize that everything is done only for their personal interest. They don't even care. They care less about the interests of Cameroonians or citizens.
Ok, Amadu Tarnteh, parlons à présent des banderoles qui ont accueilli le président Macron au Cameroun, les banderoles de Frambia qui ont accueilli le président Macron au Cameroun. Certains pensent que c'est une violation des droits des Camerounais. Frambia n'a pas le droit de permettre que ces banderoles soient placées de cette manière-là.
No, how can I say that Frambia does not have the right to for his honor, his place to replace Cameroon? Because Frambia is a citizen like any other Cameroonian.
He's a citizen. So are you telling me that even my own pictures would have been put?
Moi, si je peux faire ma banderole, il peut la mettre.
I put it to welcome Macron.
The decision that was not that Frambia, but there's something behind that. I know that they can come. It's an association. It's an association or movement Frankist.
But the movement has been declared. They have been outlawed now. They said nothing exists. The SDO said nothing. He didn't create anything like that.
No, that's not the issue. Because even if the movement has not even been, they have not yet have any official document. It's normal when you deposit a document to have an authorization.
Was it Frambia that was supposed to welcome Emmanuel Macron?
No,
means that Frundi would have had his own banners.
Of course, SCF can any other
banners, Canto his own banners. Everybody having their own banners.
Obviously, it can be done elsewhere. But I don't know why people are complaining that Frambia, because the issue is that even if Frambia is going for the presidency, I don't think there's any problem with that, because one thing is very clear is that he is a citizen of Cameroon. It doesn't matter whether he's president of Cameroon. If it is time for election comes and he wants to go in as a candidate, it's a very normal thing, like any other Cameroonian. Because whether it's the president, son of the president, or whatsoever, if you are eligible, if you fulfill all the eligibility conditions as prescribed on the Constitution of Cameroon and the 2012 electoral code, as a citizen of Cameroon, you have the right as per se to become a candidate and become the president of Cameroon once you are elected by the president. Because what we don't want is an illegal way of transferring power to Frambia. That's the only way.
Many Cameroonians are decrying the fact that he has never come out to say, I want to run for the presidency. He has got no political party. He has got nothing. No political background or career. His political career, apparently, from what Cameroonians are saying, is zero. He has never been seen anywhere carrying out a rally or trying to talk some political issues or move around the country. Why would his picture and this thing, messages be put to welcome a president? Is he part of the state protocol?
No, it's not a matter of being part of the state protocol. It's not a movement or association it is, because some of the things, not the issue of experience and all.
But it was already clear that, and finally it happened. Macron did not receive any political opposition leaders in the country. Yeah. Yes, it was clear, and we got the news that Macron will not receive any opposition leader. Like it was being said that he will receive Camto, he will receive Nijon Frundi, Cabral Libi. So why would the case of Frambia, we even saw pictures of him and Frambia
not receiving this opposition or member of this the opposition in the entire territory of Cameroon. So those are very pertinent issues that must be addressed, because if a country is living a state of law, as assumed that Cameroon is a state of law, is living under the kind of illegal. Because my major problem now is those that are still being detained there, because we know that these are all Cameroonians. If it's true that Kanakuna have paid his money as they are claiming, and that's one of the conditions as they are claiming that each and everyone pays his money. If who pays all the money that was embezzled can be released, then they should check about other people. I think somebody like if Michel also were being informed that if Michel also has deposited a lot of money with them and he has not been released. I don't know now if this issue of Cameroon belongs to a special group of people or whatsoever.
Michel also was already given a medical presidential pardon. He was given medical evacuation. He's out of the country now.
No, he's out of the country, but we don't have not seen any official document saying that even Sheffield.
Do you think he will ever come back?
What about Zacchaeus Fonjinam and all the rest?
It's a system.
There's many of them. We have somebody like Zacchaeus Fonjinam who was working at the Douala seaport here. What we see, there are many of them. As well, you have people like Amadu who are being detained for so many years without trials. So those are very funny things. If you want to release them, you should go ahead and release all of them. Marafa is there, and all of many of them.
If they are releasing, it means that they should just open the doors of our prisons for everybody to come out.
They have also to release those small thieves that are stealing phones. When the family are giving back the money of phones, let them release them also.
Does this issue of first of all keeping these people there for one reason that they have stolen state money is not even, I don't think it's really important. When somebody is caught for stealing state money, they need to do everything possible to make sure that the person refund all the money, can allow the person to go, but make sure the person refund all those money.
Amadu,
it's not necessary.
Est-ce que vous voulez nous faire comprendre qu'un Camerounais qui vole un téléphone portable, un Camerounais qui vole une brouette et qui est emprisonné, je sais pas moi trop quoi, à Konegi ou à Newbell, lorsque sa famille ou bien lui-même remplace ce téléphone portable ou cette brouette, on le fait sortir de prison.
No, what is clear is that there is no.
Ou bien c'est parce que ceux-là sont des prisonniers politiques qu'ils doivent sortir parce qu'ils ont remboursé de l'argent.
No, what is clear here is that there's no small thief or big thief. So once a thief, you're a thief. It doesn't matter how much amount of money.
But how do you judge President Pobia's action? Giving high instruction that that guy should be released, accused of stealing money, and some of them have confessed, they have accepted that they stole the money. Was it the right decision for President Paul Biya to release some of these people or give them presidential pardon, medical evacuation to go abroad? Some of them have gone and remained, like Inoni and Yves Michel also. Up to today, they are still.
No, even medical evacuation or something, as you see, like human right. When you are sick, as a prisoner, when you are sick, you have the right to medical treatment. Those not what I have.
Medical treatment is different from medical evacuation.
Yes, medical, because they understood that maybe within Cameroon here, they will not be able to be treated because they have realized that even the president.
Pourquoi ils vont créer des hôpitaux au Cameroun qui n'ont pas la compétence de les?
That is why we have been trying. Even the president of the republic himself said that when he is sick, he goes to Switzerland and treat himself. It's very regrettable that you leave your own country.
Parce que nous tous Camerounais, on a aussi besoin de cette évacuation.
Actually, that is it. All of that way they are normal. Because you realize even the minister of public health, when he is sick, sometimes he goes abroad to treat himself. It's something very, very funny. I don't know the kind of country we are into. This is to make sure that
do we have the money to be the
they have money. We see some an individual stealing 50 billion. That 50 billion can do a lot of things here in Cameroon. And individual saying that an individual has stolen 50 billion step, that one can construct for a very big hospital that is well equipped with all kind of international personnel of international standard.
So what is lacking that we cannot build those kind of hospitals?
No, they are not privileging the life of ordinary Cameroonian or ordinary citizens. They prefer stealing all these monies and all the because since they are the ones that owns Cameroon, because this big group of people think that they are more Cameroonian than others. Not knowing that Cameroon will remain Cameroon, whether they do whatsoever they are doing, the one they go and leave Cameroon, and Cameroon will still remain. They cannot carry Cameroon and go with Cameroon away.
So you are saying that the young man that was arrested, he was just doing his playing his own role to ask for Marafa Amidu Yaya to be released.
Actually,
Dr. Amadu Vamuke and the rest.
That's his constitutional right. He has a right to that effect. Everyone, we have a right to
what about President Paul Biya? What he did, was it constitutional? The act he carried by releasing Atanganakuna.
No, this is as if we are talking about high instruction from head of state. It doesn't concern the law again, because there are most of those things that they are asking based on illegality.
He should be drawing inspiration from one of the provisions of the constitution, giving him power because he's the guarantor of the constitution.
Being the guarantor does not mean that you should violate the constitution. It doesn't mean whether you are the head of state. Nobody.
Are you saying that he's interpreting the constitution wrongly?
No, I don't think what the president is doing and his collaborators are doing is the best, at least. It's not. I don't think it's the best.
What about these people? What about these other people who have escaped with money? They are now abroad, like Esimi Minye and others. They have not given them. Atanganakuna, who even succeeds to even reimburse 2 billion. People are still complaining about him. What about the people who have disappeared with everything?
The issue is that they are telling us, even though
let's just assume that the 2 billion is what we know. We are assuming.
And we're being told that it's 250 billion and get 2 billion. And that one is enough.
Yes.
Wonderful. This country is a very terrible country. It's regrettable for us to be talking such shit. Because imagine somebody's 250 billion and they are being told that he gave 2 billion and he has been released.
But it was not established that he stole 50 billion. The courts saying that this is the money he reimbursed, which means that he was found guilty of having stolen 2 billion. He was being accused of stealing 50 billion. But when the court established the facts, the court came to realism that he stole 2 billion.
No,
He
but
reimbursed the 2 billion.
I don't think that was what the court said, because had it been that was what the court said, and the court decided that he has most of the money, and they have said that they will release him, the instruction ought not to be coming from the high instruction from his Excellency of the Republic. So that one I don't understand, because it's the court, the judiciary has the right to play its own role. They have a role to play, not that it should be high instruction from the head of state. If the court found out that this man has paid his money, and the rule, maybe the law in place says that if somebody pays, all the money has been stolen, the person is supposed to be released, then it's the court that is supposed to order for the release, not that it's high instruction coming from the presidency.
Amadu Tarnteh, comment est-ce que vous, les organisations des droits de l'homme, pouvez aider ce jeune homme qui a été arrêté?
No, we are just trying to, one of our organizations, Mandela Center International, is already working with regards to that effect. We are just trying to get facts of what really happened so that we can actually advocate for
Was
the
he already
release
on the
of the gentleman.
streets? Was he already on the streets?
No, we are being informed that the guy went to deposit the demand at
After
the
depositing
office, and he was picked from there. It's really very funny.
You go to deposit something.
When they deposit the thing, they will do everything possible to divide them, enter within the rank of the people, start causing confusion so as to have their own interest. So it means that there's actually something fishy behind what
Information you have is that the guy went to deposit the document. He was arrested.
Yeah, the guy was arrested.
So
we are living in very terrible Cameroon, and sometimes we are being informed that they respect the rule of the law, or the respect of the freedom of speech and opinion, and all the people are respecting the freedom of assembly. And at least it's very funny.
So
Some of this
this
I don't
is
understand
tarnishing
what is
the
happening.
image of Cameroon.
That is
when
what
it
I'm
comes
saying,
to-
because tarnishing the image of Cameroon, they are giving a very bad impression to both the international community about Cameroon. It's very funny to hear that somebody who went to deposit a demand for something has been arrested. He has been arrested. It means that the crime is for depositing something at the administration. It's very funny.
Thank you, Amadu
Merci, Amadu
Tarnteh.
Tarnteh.
Thank you to televiewers of My Media Prime for watching this other edition of the program, which was produced for us by Christain, Tebong. We were Gwladys, Bomotonguina, and myself, Lasha. See you tomorrow for yet another edition of what our papers in Cameroon must have said. Bye-bye.